Hello, I'm Nadine Blaney, and welcome to Media Week. Ahead on the program, the latest free TV ad revenue numbers show 10 Network making up ground in the metro market over the last 6 months, plus a tale of two platforms. As U.S. earnings season continues this week, Twitter's growth slows, but Facebook beats the street with its quarterly earnings and shares soar. Our co-host, James Manning, editor and publisher of Media Week, is here to take us through all of those stories and more. But up first, just 2 weeks ago, Pacific Magazines announced the appointments of Prue Cox to the role of commercial director. Cox comes to her new role with over 16 years of digital media experience. Now, most recently, she was the chief commercial officer at News Life Media, during which she really did lead the transformation of the sales process. Previously, she was managing director of taste.com.au and kidspot.com.au. She joins us today to talk about the digital transformation that's underway at Pacific. Prue, welcome to the program.
Thank you
and
for having me.
congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm curious to know what you're learning, I guess, about the culture so far at Pacific Magazines. Is digital still looked upon as the younger sibling to the magazine business, or is it the new favourite child?
No, I think there's definitely a culture of an exciting evolution there. I think everyone is really ready for it. I think, you know, the shift from where they've come from as a print business into this really audience-led business started, you know, quite a while ago. I mean, social has been a really key part of, you know, not only their audience connections, but also their commercial for the last couple of years. And I think, you know, just recently with getting, you know, taking back the websites from Yahoo has really now started to accelerate that. But I think everyone's, you know, there and on for the exciting ride.
And there's no sense that they're giving up on print or getting ready to move out of print?
No, I think it's really about taking the learnings of print, and actually, you know, for a long time, you know, they've understood content and how to engage with an audience. I think previously it's been about driving that inspiration through print. Now it's the exciting time of how do we take that inspiration right through to a transaction. And I think that's what we're seeing with the digital side of the business.
So is that the challenge? Is that why you got, you know, you had a couple of months off? Is that why you came back? Because there's, I mean, you're getting the big audiences, aren't you? But
yep.
Print's still driving the substantial revenues.
Yes, certainly.
So it's a big challenge, isn't it, to transform those dollars?
Yeah, and I don't think, well, you know, I think it's going to be a while until we're at that tipping point. But I think what really, you know, attracted me to Pacific was they're not just looking at how do we take what we've done in print and take, you know, and translate that into a digital space. They're really looking at all of that transactional area. I think, you know, through products like Styled By and Beauty Crew, which are really steeped in that e-commerce, that's where they're really seeing is how do we actually help that audience transact online and drive it in a really different way.
You seem to be refreshing the portfolio, sometimes using an existing brand, maybe as in an existing magazine,
yeah.
Other times creating a new one. But what makes an old media brand worth keeping, do you think, in this? Is it a hard decision sometimes?
It is a hard decision, and I think, you know, a lot of the brands have a lot of trust with consumer audience. I think everything we're doing is really steeped in deep consumer insight and really going and understanding what is it that our audiences are wanting. And some of that is an evolution of the brands that are already there, and some of those are actually bringing brands together to be more of a standalone brand and delivering something new and fresh to the market that they haven't seen yet. So I don't think there's a hard or fast rule of how we're approaching. I think we are very much looking at the different categories and where we want to be playing, and then really looking at the consumer insights and doing a lot of work strategically behind that before we actually make the decision on which brands are the best to lead with.
And that's what I was going to ask. I mean, how are you connecting with your consumers to find out exactly what it is they want, or perhaps what they don't know that they want?
And that's the hardest thing, isn't it? You can't always go and ask them because they don't know what they don't know. Look, we do a lot of research right across, you know, just from even brand salience of our own brands, right through to, you know, more in-depth focus research, you know, survey work. You know, we use also the power of 7 West Media and the greater audience that we have there, really to tap in many different ways. But I think for us, everything that we're doing is consumer insight led, be that how editorially, you know, we're driving new content. You know, the great data that we're getting now from our own sites, even just in a short time, is really starting to drive some more of those decisions of understanding what consumers are doing.
It almost seems, Prue, that every few days there's a new brand popping up that you start promoting. I think this week's is foodiful.com.au.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that, and it goes into a category you know a fair bit about, but is very competitive.
I do. It is a really... Look, you know, we're unashamedly saying this is a big commercial play. We know how big the food space is. And look, really through the power of the Seven West Media brands, we're in the opportunity to really harness those together and bring out something that's a bit new and fresh. I think for us, the launch is coming next week, you know, with the Olympics. I think the power of the Olympic broadcast behind the launch is going to be really exciting. I think, you know, quickly we're going to be able to build that brand awareness with the Australian audience. But I think what we've tried to look at is not what's been done in the past, but really look at what does the consumer of the future want. And I think it's a lot more around a personalised and intelligent approach. You know, it's not necessarily just about depth of content. I think everyone can have depth of content in different ways. It's really about how do you deliver that to the audience, how do you curate it, how do you put it into tools that are easier, and how do you allow them to personalise it for themselves.
So basically a bunch of recipes, I was wondering. Is it as simple as that, or is that sort of underselling? No,
it's a lot more than that. It's got a lot more personality behind it as well. I mean, food is just steeped in people's lives. It's what's driving decisions right across the board for them now. But we want to make it easier for them, but we also want to make it right through to, you know, not only giving them that inspiration and allowing them to engage, but also then allowing them to transact. And through our partnership with Woolworths, you'll see that right through across the site at many different levels of how they can actually take that through to a really easy shoppable experience, both in and you know, online, but also in store as well, which is really key to a lot of consumers.
Now, you mentioned the partnership with Woolworths there, but you've also mentioned Seven a number of times in the conversation so far. So can you give us any sort of scope, any sort of guide to how you're actually partnering with Seven and how those relationships will evolve?
Well, I think for Foodiful, it really does take right across the stable all of those key food brands and bring them into one digital environment and destination. So I think that's the starting point. You'll see a lot of the talent coming through in that as well, through, you know, content that you've seen on the TV shows, you know, also coming through to Foodiful, but also unique content as well that's being developed specifically for the destination. But I think, you know, you also just from a promotional piece, you know, Seven will be driving, you know, this promotion of the new site right throughout their programming and also across their broadcast.
So aside from that new brand, is there a star performer about what else you've got there at the moment?
Look, I think Beauty Crew is a really, really interesting brand that, you know, is still, you know, not that old. I think we launched it in March and, you know, it's now up there as one of the top performing beauty sites in the country. And I think that really has taken that experience of, you know, everything that we do is very much mobile first, but also very, you know, socially seeded. And I think Beauty Crew has shown that, and the traffic has gone through the roof. We launched with, you know, a number of really strong commercial partners, and the success behind that has been fantastic, and I think we're just going to see that growing.
Is that the key to it? You think getting brands involved and just as opposed to going out and selling spots and banners and stuff like that? I think, you know, is that all old school?
We very much see ourselves, and we talk about now no longer just being a media partner, but we have to be more of a marketing solutions partner. So in order for us to actually, you know, develop consumer leading sites, we also need to be talking to our commercial partners to make sure we understand some of their challenges and what's important to them, and that is actually factored in on how we're actually helping them engage with their consumers. So I think it's key. Foundation partners are key, and actually talking to them through the process and actually bringing them along on the experience as well.
And so there is headway being made on improving the revenue return from digital assets for publishers, is that?
Yes. Sorry, what do you mean by that?
Well, just like we talked about at the start of the show, the big challenge of getting dollars from those big audiences.
Yes.
Are you sort of making a gain, do you think?
Absolutely.
You're walking along that
and
road.
I think that for us, it's, you know, there's a number of different revenue streams. We also have the e-commerce side of things, which we see as, you know, in its early days at this
It's not just selling ads. It's
not just selling ads. I think it's multiple, and looking at diversification across that. How do we actually look at, you know, subscription pieces with some of our, you know, our sampling boxes and subscription boxes and those sorts of things as well? How do we put product in hand and actually facilitate some of that on digital as well?
Yeah, obviously you're not going to give your strategy away on television at this stage. Prue Cox, we've got to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us.
At all.
Appreciate it, and good luck in the role. So Pacific Magazine's commercial director, Prue Cox, there just joining us here in studio. We do have to take a break, though. When we return, we will be talking about 10 Networks. Its ad revenue share is improving. We'll bring you all of the news of the week with James Manning next.
Knowledge applied is power. Incredible things are created with the right knowledge. Knowledge also breeds foresight, giving strength to manage risk and make better decisions. When you choose to trade Forex with Go Markets, you'll gain access to our foresight and expert market analysis. Analysis that could help you identify potential financial risks and wait for the right opportunities. Go Markets, your first choice for Forex.
Thinking I was going to rat out my crew.
You have a daughter, don't you? Are you in or are you out?
There's a rat on my team!
Someone's talking. You're going to get me killed.
Or at least the mole.
He's going to make me take a polygraph.
Have you ever been an informant for the FBI?
Shades of Blue starts Tuesday 8:30 on Universal Channel. Then available in Foxtel anytime.
We're here to interview a female who alleges she's been a missing person for the last 13 years.
She's fragile.
I've only been stuck underground for 13 years after all.
It's not gonna go away! Things happen to...
You can trust me.
13 starts Sunday 8:30 on BBC First. Then available in Foxtel anytime.
I was born in Uganda. My brothers came to Australia with my uncle. I stayed in Africa with my mum before we came ourselves. Sometimes families don't come together as much, and football brought us young kids together. Since the Ambitions Tour, I've become very focused on becoming a footballer. It has encouraged me to actually pursue my dream.
For 30 years, the discoveries of the Murdoch Children's Research Institute have been making a difference to the health of children everywhere. What will we discover next?
There are rules about what you see on TV. The industry association Astra has developed codes of practice covering programming on subscription television channels like this one. To see the codes, visit the Astra website at astra.org.au.
On Sunday Live, outspoken businessman Harold Mitchell on politics, media, the world, everything really. And in the wake of Joe Biden's visit highlighting Australia's cancer research, I speak with two leading scientists linking stress and cancer. All on Sunday Live this week.
Welcome back. Our co-host James Manning, editor and publisher of Mediaweek, is here in studio, and we'll be running through some of the news affecting the sector in just a few moments. Let's get across some of that news, in fact. Well, the Australians Creative Country Conference is underway in Melbourne, focusing on creating a culture of innovation within businesses and harnessing creativity. Among the speakers was ABC's Managing Director Michelle Guthrie, delivering her first major address since taking the helm of the national broadcaster back in May. She highlighted the impact of technological change on the media, citing a recent Harvard Business Review survey on digital disruption, which revealed that the biggest proportion of executives who anticipate disruption in the next 12 months came from the media sector.
As the HBR article points out, the media sector suffers from the perfect storm. Low barriers to entry lead to newer, more agile competitors, some of whom now dominate the markets they destabilised. Media is frankly text, photos, video and audio, all perfect for digital global distribution. Legacy media business models still provide the majority of revenues for many companies, making change extremely difficult. But there's another dynamic at play. Never before have consumers been so empowered. The power shift has been abrupt and absolute.
Ms. Guthrie also spoke about the value of the broadcaster to the public, saying the Australians continue to hold the ABC in high regard.
The latest independent polling conducted by Omnipol shows that 86% of the community believes that the ABC provides a valuable service to the community. Half of those polls, actually 49% to be precise, rate the ABC overall as very valuable, the highest figure since 2009.
Time to take a look at some of the market-moving media news of the week. And the social media giants were in focus in the United States. Twitter posting its slowest quarterly growth in revenue since going public back in 2013, amid intense competition for the likes of Snapchat and Instagram. The social media service says that its user base lifted to 313 million in the second quarter. That's up only slightly from the 310 million in the first quarter. In sharp contrast, Facebook posted a bumper result with quarterly revenue jumping close to 60% on a boost from mobile advertising. Chris Weston from IG says Facebook has a history of delivering very strong results.
They've only missed once on the revenue line since early 2012, and they haven't missed on an EPS line since, I think probably midway through 2013. So they have a pedigree like no other, to be honest, at earnings season, and they've absolutely blown expectations out the water again at this meeting, this earnings report. You've got incredible numbers. Valuation is pretty rich, but you're not really too bothered about the valuation when you're seeing ad revenue per user up about 9%. There will be a time, though, where people say that everything's baked into the cake, and we probably are at that peak sentiment. Is that time now? Perhaps, but certainly I think there's a little bit more juice in the trade, and certainly the trend is higher. It's making higher highs, so you certainly wouldn't be shorting the stock at the moment. I think this is a cracking business.
And telco giant Verizon is set to snap up Yahoo in a near $6.5 billion cash deal. Verizon will take on Yahoo's search, mail, content, and advertising technology businesses. And there's a local connection to this as well. Seven West Media is tied up with Yahoo through its Yahoo 7 joint venture. Seven West issuing a statement following the news, saying that once the transaction is complete, it has various options under its joint venture agreement, and it looks forward to discussing Verizon's future plans for Yahoo in Australia, including any impact on Yahoo 7. So let's bring in James Manning, my co-host here in studio. James, what does that mean coming from 7? Does it give us a bit of wiggle room to get out of that joint venture?
Yeah, look, I think that's one of the attractions of this sale for them. I think they've, under Clive Dickens, is doing a pretty good job running all their digital assets at the moment. I think 7 has certainly got a model there. Look, what if we managed everything ourselves? We weren't in a JV with Yahoo. I think that's attractive. It's too early to jump now, though, because they might as well wait and see what Verizon has in store for their for the international parts of the business, if you like. I mean, Verizon might be happy to, cut free what's going on here.
And 7 has results next week.
Yeah, they do. They're reporting on Tuesday. I think they want to get it out of the way before the Olympic Games starts.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if there's any further commentary coming on that.
Sure, I got a feeling they'll wait longer term. I don't think we'll probably find out much more about it. We might get the flavour of, how keen they are on the existing partnership.
Okay, let's talk scandal in the US with Roger Ailes at Fox News. This comes after a sexual discrimination case was brought against Mr. Ailes. And Fox News really using this as an opportunity to clear the decks in regards to some of its executives at Fox.
Yeah, and a lot of speculation about the role of the two Rupert Murdoch sons in this, James and Lachlan, about, them making some decisions, saying, look, Rupert's more linked to the old management, of course. They were maybe wanting to think, look, it's time for a new broom, refresh it, good time to refresh the brand, the channel, which is performing very well. But getting Rupert on board, they've given him the job of actually running the channel in the interim in what's a very crucial period. We've had the conventions for the Democrats and the Republicans the last fortnight, and they go into this long election campaign now before the actual November vote.
And boy, James, when it comes to a television spectacle, those conventions sure do deliver. We've got the Democratic National Convention going on right now. Yep. I mean, there's no other place in the world that does it quite like it.
No, absolutely. And the rating's very good for the Democrats this week. They'll be happy about that. Whether it translates at the ballot box remains to be seen.
Absolutely. Come November, we'll find out. So let's talk about Screen New South Wales. We were talking about this push coming from Screen Australia last week. Now, what is this about no women creatives on team, no funding?
Yeah, well, the Courtney Gibson's running a TV producer with a lot of experience, is running the funding, or Screen New South Wales now, and they invest in a lot of projects at development stage to get them up to where they can sell to a broadcaster. And they're saying, look, if you don't have a significant number of women on the development team, we won't be giving you any funding. So that surprised some people. Some people think it's probably going too far. So you're going to start seeing a token appointment. Maybe if 4 or 5 guys come up with a great idea, they can't take it forward without women on board. And I think the opposite argument, well, if there's some token appointments, it's better than none at all, you know. So.
This is an age-old debate, though, when it comes to equality, not only when it comes to gender issues as well. So that's one that we'll be watching. O Media, diversifying yet again, now spending on printing and production. So to what end?
Yeah, well, they just want to, you know, be involved in the processes, I guess. They put a lot of work through this company, Cactus Imaging, it's called. They're thinking, OK, the opportunity came to buy it, so they profit through their own business. They control the process, I guess, and it prints a large format. A lot of the billboards, the sites you see out, that produces those the actual the hoardings that go up. So they want to control. We saw them buy Junkie Media earlier this year. They announced that Evoke TV. So they're really, you know, Brendan Cook and his team are really working hard at expanding the business, diversifying the revenue base. I'm just not sure if I haven't investigated this, but if the Cactus Imaging has any other clients, you know, like opponents. Yeah,
clients.
That'd be interesting to see how they feel about it.
Let's move into television, and we've got WIN's Andrew Lancaster and Gina Reinhart joining the 10 Network board. Was that a surprise at all? Or?
Not really. We knew Andrew Lancaster was going to get in, representing, you know, Bruce Gordon's interest. He's the major shareholder in the 10 Network. I guess Rob hasn't been mentioned a lot as a representative for Gina Reinhart. He's only recently resigned from Parliament, so you know that's an interesting role for him. Post his
certainly is,
you know, representing his electorate.
Okay, James, it's that time. Let's look at ratings.
Sure.
And we will begin, as usual, with Free to Air, and this is for week 30. So let's bring them up, and I don't think we're surprised to see MasterChef rating high.
No, they've 3 spots in the top 5. I think they've got 5 of the top 10, so it was the penultimate week of the program, just doing fantastic business for Network 10.
And now it's over. Elena won, and so now we're looking at, I guess, The Bachelor replacing.
Yep,
some
we
of that
might see
time
that
slot.
In this top 10 next week.
We'll be talking about that next week. Subscription, and let's start with sport. Again, NRL, AFL.
Yep,
What can
sure.
we
It's
say there?
only a couple of weeks away from the final, probably about a month ago, till we get to the finals. NRL, 4 of those 5 spots, doing very well.
Okay, and let's look at non-sport. And this is on subscription television. And Wentworth doing well for Soho. We've got the Kettering incident as well on Showcase. And then some of those old stalwarts, The Simpsons and Family Guy, they always pop back in there.
Sure, yeah, but you know, the top 3 are all sort of Foxtel commissions, so people really like those original commissions, and Foxtel seem to be choosing the right project.
It's great to see. Talking about Free TV Australia, it's released the advertising revenue numbers for commercial television networks, and this is from January to June of 2016. Talk us through some of these, James.
Yeah, well, 7's holding up. 7 had about a 40% share, has for quite a while now. They've lost a little bit. 9's the big mover. They're down 3 points year on year. 9 won't be happy with that before, and most of that loss has gone straight to Network 10, who've jumped up. They've gone from 21.9 at this time last year up to 25.2, so it's a good move for them. That Metro TV market worth about $1.3 billion in that 6-month period, so it gives a value of 1 percentage point of about $13.5 million. So if they allocate the money exactly for the share, 10 could be getting as much as $40 million more, you know, out of that 6-month period.
So it's been a while since 10 sort of saw that kind of...
Yeah, they've been growing slowly, but this is their biggest move for quite a while. You know, it's still 75% controlled by 9 and 7, but 10 certainly making some headways, and they'd be looking now to push towards 30%.
Okay, so let's talk some of the other news about in television. And Fox Sports and Fox Footy, I'm not ashamed to admit, I had to get James to explain to me, Retro
round. Yeah, they just celebrate some of the. I like to think of the years when footy met fashion. You know, it was some big hair,
yeah,
facial hair, big mustaches, mullets, outlandish off-field fashions that the players wore, and the players and both Fox Sports and Fox Footy, the commentators have been celebrating that this week and getting some of the older players back on air. So they have a lot of fun with it.
And this is, of course, I guess everybody's biding a bit of time in some ways before the Olympic Games really ratchet.
Yeah, and they want they're making the most of that on the last weekend for when the Olympics will really dominate the chatter for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching the Olympics. It's always a good time.
Yeah, it should be good. Yeah, there'll be plenty of it on Channel 7, of course. Yep. 3 of their digital channels, and they've got a lot online you can get into as well.
Okay, James Manning, thank you.
Thanks, Nadine.
Good to see you as always. James Manning there, co-hosting from Media Week. That's all we have time for this week from the team here. Thanks for your company.